fun business. It's crazy. People say, what's the car business like? Well, it's a daily business. And that's what I love about it, because one day may be bad, one day may be great. It changes through the flow. And it's, I used to tell my buddies, like jumping off the Narrows Bridge and swimming in. You got everything coming at you. Or like a helicopter pilot, you got to be. It's a fun business, and we have a lot of fun. And it's a good business, and we do a lot in the community. We sponsor Children's Home Society on the Key Center. We used to do the state of Washington, but we didn't realize coming from Gig Harbor that on the peninsula there in Purdy is a really deprived communities in that area. Young children, foster kids. So we refocused to the Children's Home Society on Key Center to take care of the kids that really need help. We also do the Boys and Girls Club at Gig Harbor, and we've provided some vans to get these kids off the peninsula into the community to be mentored, tutored, fed, whatever they may need. And then we just started a new alliance with Fish Food Bank of Gig Harbor, and that's probably one of the biggest needy facilities in our community in Gig Harbor is the Fish Food Bank, which you'd be shocked. Have you ever been there?
No.
Yeah. I went there one time and I'm like, oh, I didn't know this existed. I mean, there's a lot of needy people in that in our community, even though Gig Harbor is a very affluent city. So, yeah. So bringing these guys in can give you a different perspective too. I mean, Andrew, new, graduated. Nick is more like me. I loved it when he left for college. Was it your junior year?
Yeah.
And he looked at me and said, I don't know why I'm spending your money, but here we go again, back to Wazoo. I said, what are you talking about? He says, Dad, I'm a 5-year guy. I'm not playing football anymore. I love the car business. Get me out of here. So that's the story that things happen in life. You need the education, but like Melina graduated in 4 years and Andrew. So
Nick, how did you figure out this? That was it. I mean, you just.
Well, I don't know. Growing up, he was owning it for 18 years and always been in the car business. So I grew up around it. I'd come to the dealership when I was a kid in a full suit, run around, and I don't know. I just always knew that it was something that I wanted to do. Was to work with the family and do that regardless was kind of my game plan. Mm-hmm. And so I was kind of just going to school, and then I was selling cars in the summer and making some money. And then I was like, God, I really don't want to go back to school, and I was like, I'd rather get into it and just kind of get my life going, get it jump started.
Right.
So I went to school in Texas for finance with our compliance company, and did an intense course with them, and then got into it and started working with the family. Yeah, been doing it for probably a little over a year.
And I'm not bragging, he's killing it is the word, I guess. Wow. So really proud of him, and Melina as well. My mother is 86 next month, and she's a retired accountant, and she still comes in and does a monthly audit on our books, which is really funny, and I love it. And I told my CFO, who's actually an accountant, CPA, and has a master's in taxation, smart kid. I said, you need to learn what my mom's telling me before she's gone. And then Melina's taken over Dionas Enterprises, doing a wonderful job. And her husband is working as assistant service director for our service department.
Wow.
And right now we're in an expansion. I have a meeting tomorrow morning to see what we can do to expand our company. We're doing over, I think, 1,400 oil changes a month now.
Jeez.
So, and here's an indicator. I went to the restroom the other day. There was a lady in the restroom and 3 elderly ladies waiting to go to the restroom. I'm like, we got to do something here. We got to expand this thing. So it's one of those things you got to spend money to make money, I guess. But you got to take care of the customer, period. Or they're not going to come back, right?
You're right.
Yeah.
So, Joe, can you talk about when did you realize that, okay, I'm not going to go back to college and this is it?
Yeah, I was thinking about that on the plane last night when I was flying back.
You and Nick there.
Yeah.
It's like mirror
Yeah.
image.
So I played football, went to Bellarmine as well. Played football in California for a couple of years, and got hurt. Now coming from Bellarmine, all city, all that, you think you're a hot shot. Mm-hmm. I went to JC school of Ventura, right below Santa Barbara, and just got my rear beat up. I'm like, I am not going to the next level in football. So I got hurt, came back home, and I sat with my stepdad that actually has been in the car business at Titus Will for 35 years. And I always liked dressing up, so I thought my dream was to own a men's clothing store, something like that. So he said, well, do you want to go, in the car business or get a job at Nordstrom's? What do you want to do? So I picked the car business because I could dress up and drive a company car. So, and it was very intimidating because I was probably, everyone else was probably in their mid-30s, 40s, and I was a 21-year-old. And I commuted to Bremerton at the power organization for a year. Thank God met Melinda. We've been married 32 years, by the way. Just celebrated. And so it's one of those things you got to get out of your comfort zones. But I will tell you, I was in the bathtub one night. I don't know why, but and I was actually crying because I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was like, what am I going to do? I'm not the football kid anymore. I cannot stay on school. I was a horrible student until I put my mind to it. You know, I did love cultural anthropology and I love history. So other than that, I was like, this is going to go on forever. So, and I actually had the shingles after that. I got so uptight. And if you know about the shingles, I had it on I have a scar here from it. And it's miserable, whatever you call it. Oh God, it was horrible. So I got myself put back together and I got in the car business and I was fortunate and blessed. I just worked my rear off. And I was always that kid, in football, academic, and in business. I was the guy that always had to work a little bit harder, more like a street guy. You know, I wasn't book smart, so I had to really put my extra effort in, and it paid off. And we've been very fortunate, so.
But you went in early and you stayed late.
Oh yeah, I worked. Well, Melinda was assistant manager of Weissfield's and Ben Bridge Jewelry. I think we worked 70 to 80-hour work weeks. We didn't have kids for 5 years. All we did is work. And we bust ass, bought our house, bought the cars, the boat. And we took one trip a year. We go to Maui, Sugar Beach for 2 weeks, sit there, and then go back to the grind. So it's kind of fun.
When you got in the car business, I know that it has a bad stigma being a car salesman. How did you overcome that?
Well, it was even funnier because her father was a retired airline captain in Northwest Airlines. So when I met her, she's like, oh, he's in the car business. And her brother was going to UW Law School at the time. So I'm like, well, I grew up in the car business, my stepfather, the Titus Will family. And I'm like, you know what? We're just like anyone else. You know, we're human beings. We're not the shysters, you know, the stigma that you're talking about. And so you just had to, you know, embrace it. And her dad ended up being one of my best customers. He literally bought a car every year.
Wow.
Because he changed
But you
colors.
overcame that by treating, what do you tell your employees how to treat their customers?
Oh yeah, just treat them with respect. Treat them like your mother's here. And I treat our lot attendants, I'll eat with the lot attendants. I don't care what position you're in the company. You know, it's all about respect. I tell my younger two, number one thing in life is respect. And then, you know, do your thing, so. But the funny thing was, once I started getting good at selling cars, and I was a lot better than the old timers, because I didn't know any better, right? I was just focused. And I remember going to your brothers, and they're eating, what's that stuff? Top ramen. And I'm in my new house, and I'm like, here's the attorney, and here's the dumb car guy. So I kind of had a little stigma myself, saying I had to prove myself to me and to my peer group and to my family that I'm going to make something happen here.
So you always work with a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, a little bit. It was more of a, I'm going to prove you guys different, you know. So, and I have stepbrothers who are doctors and very successful. And so it's been kind of fun growing up with them and seeing my path and where they went, so.
You know, when you first bought that dealership in Gorse, I remember we talked about it. It was kind of like run down. And I remember when you first bought it, and I drove out there, it's like, what the hell is John doing?
Yeah.
And literally, have you ever been out there? It's just like, man, ingress is awful.
Horrible.
And I remember what broke your heart the most was you had an audit and you had to fire a couple people and it just killed you.
Yeah.
And because you, number one, I think they lied to you and,
Right.
and you couldn't trust them anymore.
Yeah.
And you had I remember that because he was pretty heartbroken.
Yeah.
Because he really, John really cares about his people.
Yeah.
You know.
And I'm one of those guys that, you know, if we're connected, I'm your friend for life. I don't care what you do or what you don't do. But when you cross that river, you know, then I'm off. So yeah.
So
And
can you talk about that experience, why you bought that dealership?
well, it was a weird deal. I just, I was fortunate to go from dealership to dealership that I went with in my career, and I was always advanced. So I tell people, if you don't get better, you're going to get worse. So challenge yourself to get to continue of success in your life. So I kept changing. People would say, well, you're working where now? I went, well, now I'm a finance manager or general manager or whatever. So that was my quest. Then had an opportunity to buy the store, and then was off work, for 6 months. Had a home in Canada that I built for us when Nick was a baby. And then we bought a beach house where we live now. And we had 2 mortgages. Linda was pregnant again
With Joe.
with Joe. And I'm like, and I don't have a job. And I have 2 mortgages. And I'm running out of cash quickly. So I think that fear actually made me more aggressive in getting this thing put together. And it was crazy. We bought it in April. I remember at Christmas, the owner I bought it from, oh, come meet all the employees. And I felt very awkward because we hadn't signed any legal documents that I own this now. You know, Subaru had to sign off, attorneys, the banks, everybody. So we went, and it was very awkward. And then in January, they're like, oh, this is not a done deal. This thing's dead. And then we finally got it back, so. So tenacity, I guess. You know, I always say take a negative, make it positive. and if there's a roadblock, there's 2 people in life. You're either a victim, you can sit there and cry about it, and shit happens. I understand bad things happen to people. It's just a matter of getting yourself back on track. And it's not about the money, it's what you can do, right? Your churches, your kids, your boats, your cars, whatever you like to do, travel, give back.
So where did you get this tenacity?
I don't know. It's crazy.
When you get
Well, I will tell you one thing. I was adopted, and the only child raised with 3 stepbrothers and a sister. And I think that a little bit, once I was growing older, I kind of said, you know, I got to make my mark in the world. So, and I found out my birth parents last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Oh.
Yep.
So you think you're a bit, I mean, it sounds like your empire here is a full contact sport.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody.
And the funny thing is, I had a buddy of mine come in one day, says, I can't believe you got this dealership, right? He says, you're the craziest guy I know, John. I said, you know what? I think crazy is what got me here. So you got to get out of the box.
Can you talk more about that, getting out
Yeah.
of the box? Because we're, in this society that we live in, especially in the academic world, you know, we are told to go to school, get a degree, get a job, retire, join a country club, and die.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I
Like,
think,
he breaks the barrier right there.
Right.
He's the owner of Handy Maps. So.
oh, great.
Oh, that's
Congratulations. Yeah, they were telling us about it. It's pretty cool.
great.
Yeah, I think it's good to goal set for what things you want in life. What do you want to give back to the community in life? And just go after it. And because if you don't have a plan, you know, where are you going to go? And what's the benefit? I turn 55 next month, and I was telling Linda, we just got back from Europe. You know, on a boat, you have dual batteries. If you're familiar with the boat, one dies, you click the other one on. I said, I'm in my life right now that I'm going to click, and I'm going to do something even greater for my next part of my life before I go to heaven or whatever. So I'm challenging myself. Now, normally I wouldn't even be here, but I'm thinking I got to get out of the box. I'm not a big public speaker. I do good meetings like this, but with big groups, I get a little nervous unless I'm drinking a lot of wine. we were the sponsor for the Maine Society last month. They had for Bainbridge Island or whatever, and there's probably 100 people, and they said me if I could be the guest speaker because we're the sponsor. So I'm like, here we go. So I got up there and I actually made it kind of a comedy act, and I'm not this guy, but they loved it. They were laughing like, and I was like, okay, I got this.
You'll be okay.
So I you know, you got to keep focused. You got to recharge yourself, and you know, because what happens if you get everything and you've reached the top? Now what? You know, you got to keep yourself.
Well, you said you have to be scared a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's okay
A little afraid.
to get out of that box and challenge yourself. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't mean it's the end. It's just that's a pattern of life. I've told my kids, I told my employees, a good summary. When I was a young kid, going to school, we lived on a bluff. So all my buddies, we'd walk to school, but we'd run down the hill, and it was a hill, and pretend we were on motorcycles and jump up in there, and you know, we're young, dumb kids. But when you're in the woods, if you ever experience this, you know, your friend's in front, the branch comes back and hits you in the head, and it hurts, right? Yeah. So that's life. You're going to go through the forest, and that branch is going to snap you. The difference is you get up and keep moving. It's going to snap you again. That's just life. So you got to make that decision. Do you want to be the victim and sit there and cry about it, or get up and keep on running? That's always been I'm an analogy guy. Yeah.
So here's a question for Nick. So what's your goal with the family business? I mean, are you gonna be the heir apparent of it, you think, or your dad's gonna make you buy it for him?
Well, you better talk to Melena. She's the firstborn.
Yeah, you know, we still got to figure all that stuff out, because we're all working there and we all like it a lot.
And my younger two are very interested being engaged.
So, yeah, we'll figure. I don't think he's ever really going to retire, honestly. Yeah. I think he'll still.
Yeah. I tell people I'm semi-retired.
Yeah.
We like to travel, but I love going to work. I love wearing my suit. I love buying lunch for everybody, sitting down with the guys. So I like to be engaged. But we had an opportunity to sell the dealership last year, and you would have never. I'd be in Cabo right now, right? But I knew that my family wanted it, and I thought, you know what? We worked too hard to get this company. You know, the dollar is not the golden ticket. I mean, look at poor Paul Allen. I mean, that was horrible, right? All the money in the world, it's part of the, you know, going after it. So I told these guys, either I'm going to sell this and I'm going to retire. I'll take care of you to some degree, and you have to go get jobs, you know, or I'm going to let you give this a run, and I'll still be engaged. And we may have missed a huge opportunity, but maybe not. So I'd rather have my kids screw it up or get an opportunity, right? So I can feel good about what we created. And Melena right now is just finishing up, or you'll be done in April?
April, yeah.
So she's going to what they call the National Automobile Dealer Academy. It's a year-long course, and you go every other month for a week in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
And what they do is they teach her every area of the business, financial statements, parts, service, sales, marketing, accounting, whatever. So she'll graduate in April, and then Nick will probably go in a couple of years. So it's just a fine tune to make sure that we're all, you know, the world's changing. I joked with someone, they said, hey, can you help me with this car deal? I said, I didn't have to work the computer. I really turned my computer on. You know, it's changing rapidly.
So how do you keep up with it then?
Hire good people. Yeah, smart people.
Send them to school.
Yeah, send them to school, educate them. Yeah. And I'm always a big fan. My general manager just finished the general manager's school through the National Dealer Academy, and he continues to go on a quarterly basis with what they call a 20 group. So there's 20 dealers in the United States, somewhat like our business model, and they feed back best practices with a director from the academy. So I think it's important that you're on top of the game, continuing to educate your people. I'm done with all that, but no.
So this is like a dichotomy type of question, meaning that the formal education that we all attended, you know, you got to take humanities and science and all that. But it seems like the specific subject matter experts, you know, like the career type of education is more useful than what we've got.
Yeah.
Can you talk on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, my son's a good example. He's a senior at Bellarmine. What did he say the other day about his trig class?
At Bellarmine?
Yeah, and he's...
High schooler?
No.
Oh, my middle.
I did big scene.
He'd be an All-American.
I do the football thing.
So Joe is a senior there, our middle son, and he's a really funny kid, but he's very work ethic. He says, why am I taking trig? And I said, well, why are you failing it, or what are you getting? He's like, I'm not going to deal with this stuff, Dad. And I'm like, you know, so
Some things you could just.
I kind of joke about that. It's like titles, degrees. Don't get me wrong, you know, degrees are fantastic, but they're kind of like titles. You know, if that degree is going to, you know, be like my brother, a doctor, a lawyer, accountant, you're going to have that. The degrees for the experience and the knowledge, obviously, to go get you to a position in life. But it's like titles. I mean, I tell my people, yeah, I'm the president, big deal, but you know, really, they're just words. I don't know. I don't like to say it like that, but you know what I mean?
Well, I think
Well, I talk to people and they say, oh, I have a master's in this. I'm thinking, and you're driving a 1985 Volkswagen? I mean, come on. I don't care what your degree is. They don't care if I'm the president of Peninsula, right? Yeah. And I never really tell people. They say, what do you do for a living? We have 4 dogs. I water pots around my home. I clean up dog stuff. And I take the garbage out. And on occasion, I sell cars. I never tell I'm the owner of the dealership. Yeah, right. Very rarely, depending on the person. But a good one really quick. I'm getting off camera. But my son Joe is a detailer for us in the summer times, senior. He says, and we're having that conversation now. He wants to go to Wazoo, but then he slipped and said, do I really need to go? I'm like, oh my God, of course you need to go to college. We're providing you an opportunity. And if you get one thing out of it, besides a degree, it's the experience. You got to get out, do your laundry, meet the good people, the bad people, that kind of thing. So he's detailing for me, and he's gone for 4 days from work, and I just happened to notice, where's Joe at today? So I have a good friend of mine that has a fleet of cars, car nut. He says, well, I've been busy all week. I'm working for Steve. I said, no, you're working for me. He says, Dad, I'm not working for $11 an hour. He says, I'm making $250 a car. Oh, wow. So I had to change his program. So this kid's very, he wants to be an entrepreneur. So sometimes you got to gauge yourself. What do you want to be in life? What do you want to do? Not everyone's going to be the president. Not everyone's going to be the manager. Not everyone's going to be the guy. But what do you want to be? And be happy about it. And then it's fun.
Liking what you do.
Like what you do. Love what you do, actually. Like I do. I love it.
Yeah.
So you think entrepreneurs are made or born?
They're made.
My gut would say they're born.
He's arguing with you.
You know what's funny? Okay, you'll like this. Getting back to Joe, he took a test yesterday at Barman. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the test he took yesterday?
It was a personality test. And his came back, it's funny, yeah, it came back the commander, which is only 1.8% of the population. So he was like, oh, I knew it.
Yeah. And it gives a description. I'm like, oh my God, that is you. It's actually me. It's kind of, it's like
I've had
scary.
combination. I think you're born with certain attributes, and then it's whether you tap into that and pursue it and make it a passion for yourself.
But it's kind of hard not to be an entrepreneur around you guys.
Right.
I mean, you guys were probably talking about it during dinner time. And all
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the kids are attracted to the business. And again, we're just a mom and pop store. I mean, you got the Bruce Titus, which is a friend of mine, his godfather, the mega stores. The Will family, the mega stores. We're just a one-stop operation, but we have 98 employees right now. So, and I think in life too, you got to have compassion. I was talking to my good friend yesterday from Pittsburgh. He's 86 this month, and he owns a men's clothing store. So he and I have known each other for 18 years, and I named my son after him. He's also the godfather. And he says, you got to have this. You got to have heart. You got to, you can't wake up every day and say, okay, here we go, woe's me, or what's happening in the world. You got to kind of take control of your own destiny and do your best to overcome the negative that happens.
And all that stuff that you talk about it, but it sounds like there's a little faith involved.
Oh yeah, yeah. I pray every morning at 5:30. Linda says that's because I'm going to the restroom, but no, I pray for the world. I pray for all my friends, family, business, people. Yeah, so it's a good deal. Working so far.
So how many lines you have? When the last time I drove by there, you had a Suzuki.
Oh yeah, it's funny. We got rid of everything except for Subaru. I finally just got rid of my motorcycle business after I had a long discussion with our accountant. And the key is, see, when you're like me, you don't know all the answers. You have to have a good accountant, good attorney, and do not make a decision if it's a big one without talking to your spouse first, then your accountant, then your banker if you need the banker, and definitely your attorney. Don't do a thing. Because it's easy to make rash decisions. But what was I saying before that?
You're saying we got rid of everything else.
Except
Oh,
Subaru.
yeah. So my accountant said, I know you like motorcycles, but look at the financial. I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't even paying attention. I'm like, oh yeah, we're done with this. So we just got rid of all that last month or so. We're done.
Yeah.
Got rid of Mitsubishi. I was losing $35,000 a month. But Subaru is such a great product right now in the market, and they're thriving, and we have a good used car truck operation. I was like, you weren't paying attention to this, right? Whatever. Now I'm like, now I got to protect the future, is my other saying. So we got rid of all that. Now we're just a single point Subaru store selling 100 plus new, 80 used. Just bought a building next to the motorcycle store, retrofitted that, just finished yesterday. We're moving in today. So that's our new truck center on the property. So that's our market. We're just going to improve our service, improve our operation. You know, it's funny, some guys, I don't know how they do it. It's all about people, right? We went to buy another store a couple years ago in Port Angeles. And I'm like, okay, who wants to go run the store? And I'll make it lucrative for you. We don't want to drive at Port Angeles. I'm like, well, I'm not driving up there. And I did a couple times, and I'm thinking, sometimes you just be blessed with what you got, and I'm that guy. I have one good one, let's just make this thing rock. And my banker said one time, why do you want more stores? Why don't you just keep improving on what you've got? And I thought to myself, yeah, I'm just lucky to have. They said, why'd you buy Subaru? I said, it's the only thing I could get.
It was the only thing available.
Why do you have this location? It's the only place I got. I mean,
Sticking to your core competency, that's what makes
yeah.
people do this.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's better to stick with what you got instead of chasing the other, unless this thing's a rock or whatever. But
Right. So what's the future of Phoenix with Subaru?
we're just going to continue to grow with our product. Hopefully the kids will do, at some point cut me a check, and I'll be with Melinda on some warm beach.
Not in the rain.
But I think just we're going to get better at what we do. And as the owner, I need to continue to educate my family, protect the business, and our employees.
So let's go back to the financials. I'm a former banker.
Right.
And actually, I still kind of am a banker, but we also talk about the 6 cash flow drivers. In sales, cost of goods, inventory, AR, AP, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you not pay attention to your financials?
Well, I looked at them, and I'm one of those guys. I look at the net.
Oh, okay.
I go right to the bottom line.
Right.
So if I was more of a businessman, I guess, I would. But you got to be careful. The guys that dig into it so deep, they're more like an accountant mind. They're horrible car guys. So, and it's a joke in the industry. They say that the sales guys that got lucky to become dealers, they're front end guys, so we know nothing about service. So that's why you have to go to these 20 group meetings and educate yourself within. But I will tell you, in the car industry, after that collapse a couple years ago, cash is king. So when you have your business, have that little nest egg for that rainy day. Hope to God it never comes, but always have a little, when you're making money, you got to put some money away. So, because you don't want to lose your business over a dumb decision, or the market changes, or.
So how many mentors do you have?
I've had a few, yeah, probably 3 or 4.
All car guys or not?
Different guys. One of my best guys is a guy named Dick Burrows. He owned Plywood Tacoma, one of the biggest companies in Tacoma. Big man, liked to drink. You walk in the room and everyone. So I think my best compliment when he died, they said, "Well, do you know Dick Burrows?" And a guy said, "Yeah, he's like a young John Dionas." And I said, that was the best comment I ever heard. And I told his family that. It was awesome. And then, unfortunately, he passed away, and the kids ran the business into the ground. Lost everything. And this guy was a high roller, Palm Desert houses, flying all the time, cars. Just it's sad. I mean, so I always fear that. You got to protect the future, because the good days can be gone tomorrow. Your health, your business.
So what's the future of the car business? I mean, everything's all online.
Oh, yeah, it's getting crazy. Well, consumers need to service them. You're always going to have a service scenario, even though they're getting better and the electric's coming faster than we know. But I think in the U.S., people still want to drive that V8. They want to drive their cars. Like in Europe, you see a lot of electric there and all the transit that's there, which is great. But I think in the United States, we're car people. We love our cars. And we like driving the big V8s. And so I think the market's always going to be there. We are seeing it, a lot of digital. So we're just refocusing our departments to do that. But the people still come in and buy a car.
You still go back and forth? I hated that.
We try not to do it. And I see it on occasion. I said, you're not playing football here, kid. Just get the deal done. Yeah, so you could be an All-American fullback. You're going back five times. We tried it. I think our process is pretty streamlined. Don't you think, Andrew?
Yeah, it's especially with the world of internet now and
Right.
people shopping online and stuff, it makes it pretty streamlined.
Yeah, they're pretty educated when it comes to.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they come in there and they're going to ask all kinds of questions.
Yeah. And our niche is in Bremerton, we have lower tax rate. We have a huge selection of inventory. We actually outsell Tacoma, which is shocking. I joke with Bruce all the time. So he's at 3 times market share, and we're just the little guy on the peninsula, right? So it's kind of my thing with him. I joke with him about it. But so I think we're closed on Sunday for Family Day. We're the only store that's closed on Sunday as an auto dealer, so we advertise that. I put the kids in our commercials now, which I've got a ton of response, by the way.
Yeah, people like
I was out in Europe with my wife for our anniversary, so I said, we got to shoot a commercial to go do it. And so I was on the plane, and everybody said, John, you're not in the commercials anymore. I said, don't worry, that was one segment. I'm back, don't worry.
I'll push them out of the way.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
So you think commercials work?
You know what? I think what it does is you get out there, you're giving the message of Close on Sundays, Family Day, lower tax rate, great inventory, and that we are a family-owned business. And I think people love that. The funniest thing is, I'd say most of our state of Washington dealers are all family-owned. The difference is they're 3rd, 4th, 5th generation, where it's just us. You know, we created this, they are the next generation. So we really touch that, and people are watching the commercials. So if anything, it's just out there. And we probably spend $100,000 a month in advertising. Is that crazy? Right? Am I right? 80 to 100?
80 to 100, but all different avenues, but that included.
Yeah, and our big push Melina's working on, we're going to get away from the papers, because what were you doing with the digital?
More digital marketing. Yeah.
So we have a lot of entrepreneurs come and go here. What kind of advice or just a trick of the trade, if you will, lack of a better word, to help inspire entrepreneurs?
I think you just got to have passion. You know, you got to wake up and say, okay, here we go. And it's a daily thing. You know, you think about drug addicts or this, that, it's a daily thing, you know. You just got to get up. You know, I had affirmations. I was a big affirmation guy when I was younger. I still do them, but I put it right there where I brush my teeth every morning. I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to buy this by then. I'm going to do this. I'm going to buy this. And it's not about the money, right? It's what you do with it. And your tithing, you know, the community, and what you want to drive, and what you want to wear. You know, that's part of the deal. But you just got to, you know, there's some people in the world that want to wake up. If you're an entrepreneur, you're already there. Now you just got to figure out how to get there, right? If you think you're going to be in business and you want to be an entrepreneur, develop things, well, you're already there. And the rest of the people are back there. And my wife taught me something last year. I didn't know this, which is weird. You ever heard of a lemming?
A lemming?
Do you know what a lemming is? Anyone know what a lemming is? It's a type of bird.
No, it's
Lemmings, right? Lemmings?
an animal.
It's an animal.
Like a
Have you ever heard of it? Any of you guys? I'd never heard of it. So I'm like, tell me about this.
groundhog or something. Whatever.
So what they do every year, I think they're in Europe, right, somewhere. They come off the cliffs.
They follow.
They follow each other to their death.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, you have to look it up. It's a once-a-year event, and for whatever reason, or regardless,
Accident days.
they fall off the cliff, and they're when they all die. So I've told, since I learned that, I tell my kids, we're driving, I said, get in the right lane. And my younger guys, well, why? I said, because there's one car there and all the lemmings, there's 20 over here. Come on, let's not be part of that pack of the world. Doesn't mean we're better or worse. It's just be the guy that's in the top 10%, because that's who makes the money in the world to do the things you want to do. The other are just following like lemmings. Doesn't mean they're good people, we're better. No, it just means their focus wasn't there.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think too, it's loving what you do and then surrounding yourself with good people once you're getting to that path. You know? Yeah.
So I know that we teach here, I'm not gonna be teaching, I'll be teaching next quarter too, you'll probably come back and talk to the class.
There you go.
But I always tell students that business and life and entrepreneurship is not linear. It's not,
Right.
I mean, you gotta learn how to pivot, and you really have to understand how you can overcome this stuff. Can you give us an example of the hardest time that you ever went through, and how you overcame that and still have?
Well, it's funny. The vice president of Subaru of America that signed off on my deal after I was unemployed for 6 months, pregnant, young babies, 2 houses, broke. When he signed off, he actually said, "I'm coming to the dealership for your grand opening." I said, "Okay, great."
I was there.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah, you called me.
Yeah, that's right.
I was there.
So I still have that video, and I do watch it from time to time. So that was 18 years ago. So remember, he said, "Okay, I'll see you tomorrow morning." I'm like, "Tomorrow morning? Okay, what's up?" "Well, I'll meet you here at 7 o'clock. I'm like, "I don't even get up at 7. You know? I'm thinking, okay, this is really weird. "Okay, I'll see you." So he meets me at the dealership. It was pitch black, you know, April. It wasn't sunny then, but whatever. And it was really eerie. No employees were there at the time. It might have been 6:30. We sit in the corner. He says, "Okay, I'm leaving for the airport. I'm taking the ferry back. I'm out of here. But I just want to tell you one thing. I signed off on this thing. Don't screw it up." And I went, "Oh my God." I was like a kid. And all I can remember is a friend of mine telling me, "Be careful what you wish for, you might get it." And that sounds positive, but it was negative. And I'm like, "Oh shit, I've jumped off the cliff like the lemming. I got to figure this out."
Yeah.
And then you know what I told myself? "John, you're a hell of a car salesman. Just do what you know best." And my banker said too, Nigel, he said, "Don't worry about cleaning all this stuff up." That's the first thing I did because it was a pit. He says, "You go start making money for this company." And we struggled for a while, but they were doing 17 new Subarus a month. Now we're doing 100.
So
So
what changed?
the market, the product,
Okay.
and hopefully we've created something where people want to come service and buy cars from us.
Well, I mean, Subaru's a great product.
Yeah.
My wife, we have a Subaru 2001 LL Bean edition.
Yeah, good car.
Good one.
Over 300,000.
Are you serious?
So
You're ready for a new one.
we are pretty much.
You need to take a picture of the odometer and send it to me, and I'll put it on the website.
Okay.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Then
Right.
on the back, it's like a badge of honor. It goes, 2 Subarus, 1.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
The love badge.
Yeah, the love
Yeah, they're a niche group. What we're seeing in the world, or in the United States especially, Subaru has gone from a niche, kind of the hippie, whatever you want to call them, buyer, outdoorsy enthusiast, so on. And then now we're getting what we call conquests. So people that would never look at that car or even think about a Subaru on their shopping list, they see the value in the product, the new body styles, the thing, and they're all buying them. And now their kids are buying them. It's the third car in the family or whatever. So we're seeing that's Subaru. I was on the national board for 3 years. We're doing 250,000 units a year. Now they're on track to do almost 700,000 this year. And their goal is they want to do 1 million. So they built a factory back in Indiana so that they could concentrate on production in the United States, especially with tariffs and all that stuff.
Right.
On the conversation. I think we only make one product in Japan. Is that correct?
Yeah.
WRX,
Still
STI,
one, yeah.
which is a hot car for us. But the multiple is the new Ascent 8-passenger, the Forester, the Legacies. They're great Imprezas, cross trucks. So now Subaru is going around the country and going, okay, well, this worked 18 years ago, and I'm having a meeting tomorrow with the county. I said, well, if the county will give me the permit and the bank will give me the money, then maybe I'll look into this. But I know we have to do some form of expansion because we are just swamped. My joke, I go to work, I said, the fire marshal's out there again, because we'll have cars lined up to the freeway, which is dangerous,
Yeah.
trying to get them through, and we've overcome that recently. And then I always joke, I said, and my buddy said, hey, should I come in for an oil change? I said, why would you want to come to our store? You'll sit there for 2 hours. Go to the Jiffy Lube. I'm joking. But I joke with the people, so they understand the importance. You got to take care of the consumer. There's nothing worse than going to a facility, whether it's the dentist, the car dealer, or whoever. I'm like this. Time is money, or time is your time. I will never sit around if I don't have to. It's annoying, right? So I always say, take care of the customer. especially if they have kids. Get them out there, give them a loaner car. Who wants to sit around a dealership? And we try to make it comfortable, but
Now, would you leave the Peninsula and come to Tacoma or with another dealership?
now I'm beyond that now. I think I'm just going to make this thing, doing what it's doing and continue, and let these guys have an opportunity.
Okay.
That's kind of my thing. It's you always think about it, but I'm like, we love traveling, and I'm going to do some other things in my life. My second half, I call it. My buddy says, you climbed the hill, now you're going down the other side. And I thought, shit, that was 5 years ago you told me that. So I better start figuring out my new thing. So
I guess I want to hear from the kids.
yeah.
I mean, either one of you. What's your vision for the company, Nick?
Well,
Then we'll go with-
I think really what we need to do and what we're doing is just really tightening up what we got. Like you mentioned, just making it, the best that this store can be. And like in my job, we hired a company who comes in, like that I went to Texas to learn over there. And what they do, they train every single week. So every Tuesday, I'm in office with a trainer, and he's, reviewing all my deals, all the stuff that I've done. And so our finance group, we got a really good group right now, and because we're tightening things up. And the same thing's going for sales, service. So we're just really focusing on that. And I think kind of growing with the future of kind of the car business, because a lot of technology is coming in. People are shopping online, that sort of stuff. So we just got to adapt, and it's actually a big conversation in the car industry. A lot of people are trying to figure out what you got to do to still be successful and adapt to the future. So that's kind of, I think, what we really need to do, and
Keep learning.
just keep learning. Yeah, 'cause it's always changing.
Right.
And you have to take care of the customer, so always adapting, like you're saying, with changes and things. You've always got to keep up with what's current, because if you're not that person, they're going to go see someone else purely because you're just not marketing to them, or you're not as accessible to them, or what have you. So yeah, you've got to keep growing, adapting, and I agree, tightening up is huge. You got to be, as best you can, you got to be the best in what you're doing, and keep growing, learning, improving.
Yeah.
You look at the cars, I mean, like you said, when you buy a Subaru, I mean, you want 300, 400,000 miles out of it,
Right.
and you're flipping it all the time.
Yeah.
Then you have the other vertical, like my wife takes it to repair, on Washington Avenue there in South Dakota Way.
Yeah.
Dan's a great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's honest. He says, you don't need that now. We'll
Yeah.
put some glue on it. And I think from a consumer standpoint, that's refreshing. Because, but however, on the other side, BMW is horrendous.
Oh.
I mean, you go there to BMW Northwest and there's a list, it's an emergency, you need to fix it now. But I have a buddy who owns Eurotech. I was in the military with him. He started this, BMW repair shop. He specializes in that. He's honest, like repair. You don't need that now. You'll be okay.
Yeah.
You'll be okay.
I won't tell you the car or the make because I'm not bragging, but I had a toy for a little bit. And I said, I'll be in Seattle and I'll drop it off. I'll be back. I'm going to go to the football game or whatever. I just need an oil change. He said, okay, great. What time will it be ready tomorrow? Well, this is an 8-hour job, sir. I said, what? I said, that's scaring me. And what's the bill? $2,400 to change oil. What? I said, sold the car. I said, I'm not dealing with that. How do you like that one? I was shocked. Linda's like, get rid of this thing. So I did. But the key, take care of people. We have a mandatory dress code at work. All managers are in suits. Doesn't mean we're better, but when customers come, I want them to know who's in charge. If you have a question, oh, they're that guy. We've gotten away for it, but I'm going to re-implement them. Name tags are really important. When you're a consumer, we've been seeing, it's nice to know the person's name. Like the other night, I called Martin out, the waiter, because I saw his name, or yesterday morning at breakfast. So you just got to be there, do the right thing, and in the car business, the old days are gone, I would hope, but you just got to treat people right and do the right thing. And I'd rather make no money and take care of someone versus making a lot of money and not taking care of them. You know what I mean? And I tell everyone in our recon division, on our pre-owned stuff, that car better go through every safety before we even try to sell it. and you pretend your mother is picking it up, or grandma. And if it doesn't meet our safety standards, get it out of here. I don't care. Now, those cars that we get rid of are the guys that you see on the corners, and they do the, put it together. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it's just not our standards. Who wants the heat? I've never been in court as an owner, as a car guy. That's very impressive. I think. Oh yeah. So that tells you we take care of people.
Yeah, I've had customers that'll come in and they say, like, from Tacoma. They're like, yeah, I live right across, right by the Subaru dealership over there, but they're like, we'd much rather drive all the way to Bremerton to see you guys because you take care of us. And they feel better, and they like, we have a markup on our cars. They call it the second sticker, and people will actually, go out of their way to pay even more just to have the experience that we provide. Like, Andrew's one of our top sales guys, and he does a great job, and his customers always come back happy, smiling.
And I say,
it's all about the
Andrew,
experience, really.
I said, tell them you're the owner's godson, which you are. They might buy from you. And one thing I did get away with that I started with Nick joining us, I used to glad hand every customer I bought a car and thank them for their business. Well, that was when we were doing 18 a month, and now we're extremely busy, and I'm not there as often as I was. So I said, Nick, do me a favor. Every time you're done with a customer in finance, bring them to me or call me, and I'll come meet them and thank them for the business. So it's kind of funny. And they say, oh, he looks just like you. I said, yeah, well, I'm better looking. And then they see one that said, no, he looks just like his mom.
So tell me, maybe you just already did, though, give me a rundown of the experience. I mean, why?
Yeah, what do you think of it coming out of college?
Yeah, it's it's funny. I kind of tell this with a lot of customers I work with and stuff. We're going 4 years of college, and right out of school, I didn't know what I was going to do. And John approached me and he's like, "You should try selling cars." And I was like, "Selling cars? Like, just did 4 years of school." Like, going and telling that to my parents at first was a little, frightening for them. But then once I got into the business and have enjoyed it and enjoy every second going to work, just following in the model that they want this dealership to work and how work with people is makes it enjoyable. And so you kind of can mirror that with the customer and taking care of the customer. That's just always the number one priority.
So basically, if you don't stay in the car business, you can take what you've learned and put it in your own business and all that.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in going to college and doing all that, but also the aspect of sales and working with people is I almost would argue is more important, because that's what you're doing every day. You're working with people. Sales is something I never thought I'd get into, but you learn so much about people and where they come from and the backgrounds. I find that to be kind of one of the most interesting parts of my job too, is getting to learn people and where they're from and how they became who they are, and selling them a good product.
Now, but you never took a sales class in college, did you?
No, not necessarily, but I did a lot of public speaking stuff. I was majored in public relations and advertising, so a little bit of stuff there, but nothing sales. I was kind of like a deer in headlights when I started working there, but I had some good role models and good history.
And he's done a great job.
So it's been good.
And he's really coming around. He had an opportunity to go do something different. And I'm like, well, you know what, that'd be good for you. It's a good opportunity. You're growing, you're a young man, you're single, you got the world to do what you want to do. Then I started saying, wait a minute, we don't want Andrew to leave him because we love it. We have fun every day. And he's done a really good job, and he's really gone to the next level. So things are clicking, but the customers love him. And,
So we're getting close to our end time. I guess I'll go around to all you guys from the peninsula. Give me one word or one advice that we should all have a takeaway from this interaction. We can show we do. We can go this way. We can go this way.
Yeah, I have a couple quotes in my office, but one of them is your attitude. I remember one guy mocked me at a luncheon. He said, "That guy's full of shit. He can't be that happy," and or upbeat or whatever the word is. And my buddy says, "Oh no, this is the real deal." So, you gotta have a good attitude.
I think culture is really important, because what you put in on your side of things and with everyone that you work with, that exudes to your customers, and they really pick up on that. Very perceptive. Like any of us, when we go purchase something or have an experience somewhere, if it was a good one or not and how you feel about it. So taking that into perspective, making that a big part of what you do. Culture is a big deal, and the right people and it's a people business. So just being there for your customers is very
Right.
important.
I think big thing is enjoying what you do, because if you're enjoying what you're doing, loving going to work every day, you know, that kind of like just tagging on what Melania just said, that customer notices that, and then if you're happy, they're happy. That really goes a long way.
Wow.
Yeah. I was going to say, kind of be hungry. You know, if you guys are entrepreneurs and, you know, building new things, you know, things that no one's ever heard of, right? You know, it's going to be new and it can be hard. You know, just like our job can be hard a lot of the time. And you really got to just like power through and, you know, fight for what you're building. And then, you know, one day, you know, you can be leading something like this, you know, and I'm proud of yourself. So be hungry. Yeah.
Be hungry.
Be hungry. There you go. I think too, it goes back to, you know, liking what you do, and even if you're having a bad day, still talking to yourself and saying, no matter what, I'm going to have a good attitude today. I'm going to present that way to my customer, because people feel, you know, if you're negative, and they notice it. And so I think it is really that ability to set things kind of aside. And when you are working with a customer, or, you know, working on a program, or working with your employees, you bring your best, you know, and know that tomorrow's another day and it'll get better. So just bringing that good attitude and really liking what you do, because people see it and they know if you're passionate about it, and if you're interested in them, I think is another thing too. Letting people see that you're interested in them and you want them to be successful as well.
And it's important to, it's important that you have to, you know, you can't be happy-go-lucky, you know. Obviously, there's downer days, but you got to surround yourself with good people, number one. Number two, you got to read good literature. Maybe, I'm not a big reader, but I like a lot of positive books, or, you know, watch happy movies. You know, you got to set your culture a little bit and get away from the Debbie Downers and those kind of people, because they're not going to do anything for you. And one thing I will tell you, when you hit success, you'll see who your true friends are. Because a lot of people don't like that. They don't like to see someone climbing the ladder and they're not. And we've lost some good friends from years, you know, just because. And I'm still the same guy. I mean, I'm no different. So that's important. And then compassion to people. I tell my young kids too, really quick. Sorry, we're in LA and there's a couple less fortunate people sitting on the, you know, homeless people. And I said, you know what's funny? I always joke, I should go around the world and I'd write a book. I got two things, you know, one on barns and one meeting the person that's on the ground. Everyone's got a story. You can't judge that guy. And especially if he's a veteran. And that was one of my biggest things. I played collegiate ball for 2 years, but I should have went to the military. That was one of my, things I should have done. So I'm all about the veteran thing.
You got to tell them the story. Oh, you want to ask me?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, you got to tell them the story. So when you left Titus, so you give like a pump up speech to his guys.
Oh yeah. So when I
chopper.
So when I trained, and I have this in my office too. So I'm a big quote guy. I like that. You know, you're reading them all the time. Oh, keep yourself on track. And then I also have a picture of horses at the races, and I remind myself every day you wake up, it's like the horse race. You better figure it out. Anywho, so I used to do a lot of analogies, like you're in the military. You know, I thought I was in the military in my brain, but I'd say it's like being in war. You know, you guys, when the chopper lands, you better be ready. That gun better be loaded, and you better be not a minute late. And in my meetings, if you're late, I shut the door. You don't come in. You know, that's the way it is. So I did all those analogies about war, and you know, how did these guys fight, and what were you prepared? You know, my quote was, you know, the chopper's landed. Are you guys ready? Let's get the hell out of here, or whatever. So my last day was kind of funny when I left Bruce, who's his godfather, my good friend, at the Tacoma store. The employees actually hired a chopper, and it landed in front of the store, and Bruce didn't have a clue. And that was, and he was pure white. He said, what is this? And they picked Linda and I up, and they did a loop around, and they gave me a plaque. The choppers landed. So they took us right to Gig Harbor Airport, and had a limo waiting for us. So it was pretty cool. So,
Nice goodbye.
you know, challenge yourself. The world's, you know, nothing but opportunity, and it's not all about the money.
Just got a question for you.
Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
Terribly sorry I'm late.
Oh, no worries. You're always welcome.
Door shutting. Good
No, I'm not.
That's no worries.
So, I actually plan on owning my own car dealership.
Great.
And so
Good for you.
the reason why I really like pushed myself to come because I really had some questions.
Sure.
But for you, what do you mean by being hungry? Because I've been in dealerships, Northwest BMW, O'Brien stores, and Titus Wheel, Ford and Toyota for Graham Cash.
Yeah,
and
Graham's
I
good friend of
also
mine.
did Larson. So what do you mean by being hungry? Being hungry, I'm thinking of something that you're just going to push yourself regardless to get that car, get that car sold.
Yeah.
So I'm not a person to push. I never have.
Yeah.
Not my thing.
Yeah.
So when I worked for Larson, it was like, you got to do whatever to get that car sold.
Yeah.
That's not my thing.
No.
Not
Yeah.
my thing. So what do you mean by being hungry and being positive?
Yeah,
seller?
yeah. So I guess, I've never been a really pushy person either, and I've sold cars before. And, I think just in that regard, to be hungry in that way is like, just give them a really good experience, like make it so that they really just, be hungry in the regards to selling it very well and doing a good job so that the person is just like, no, I can't even say no. This is great. So I guess, be hungry for yourself in the way that you wake up, like he's saying, and the way that you go to work, just like really be getting after it. You know what I mean? Like, don't come in, tired or groggy or, because you're not going to help yourself out. You know what I mean? So I guess it's just, trying your best to continue to just be your best.
Shine.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
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 Got a question for you. I'm totally open on the floor. Maybe it has to do with the culture. How hard is it to integrate change as far as, technique or trends when you notice a different trend in the industry or something like that? How hard is it from top to bottom, chain of command, is it to, say, integrate culture?
Well, if I could say something, I think it's that it really starts from the top. And one thing that you are really, really great at is accepting and embracing change. It's always coming, ever changing, so you really do have to be well to adapt. And if you're not going to be on the forefront of it, someone else will, and that just affects your customers. So when we're in it for them, it's for their betterment, and so it comes from the top. And everybody really gets on board, and it's kind of been surrounding yourself with the right people that are willing to, and that sort of thing too. So I think it's starts up, works its way down,
And the way I look at it, if it's going to make us money, yeah, no one likes to spend money, but you have to spend money to make money. If it's proactively for the future, the benefit of the company, the consumer, you got to do it. And I've always been good about that. And I don't. When you make a decision, sleep on it if it's a big one, consult with people. You got to make. You can't be him and Han, because then.
And then once you decide, you
Yeah,
gotta go.
and just go with it, yeah.
Yeah.
We have so much change going on this week at our store, you wouldn't believe it. And I talked to her husband, how's it going? We're adapting, the trainers are here, but we're a little freaked out. They're doing tablets now for service. Like, and we're new to that, we're kind of in the back.
Do that with BMW.
Yeah.
Service greeter.
Oh, yeah.
Coordinator, so they had to do that, but it was, it kept on freezing up.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
We had to don't panic, it's okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna get it done.
Yeah.
Brian,
Yeah, no, good luck to you guys. Yeah, take care.
Well, thank you for.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was awesome, thank you. And this
Nice
is,
meeting all you guys, good luck to you. Oh, thank you.